Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, welcome to Portimao on the Algarve, where the weather is always sunny and perfect, unless you are in one of the most significant sports cars of the year, in which case it's throwing it down the rain, which is a bit of a problem, because this is not the ideal set of conditions in which to try a McLaren 570S, which is the first of McLaren's Sports Series supercars. Sits underneath the 650S in the range, so it's got a bit less power, still has the 3.8 litre twin turbo V8. There's 30% new inside. The other differences between the 650 series, the Super Sport series, and this, the 570, this doesn't get the fancy linked hydraulic suspension, it doesn't get any active aero on the outside, and lots of the body is aluminium rather than all composite. So it's cheaper, it's 140 grand plus options. You can spend quite a lot on options if you want to. And it is supposed to be a more habitable, more usable road car. So in a perverse kind of way, these are the ideal conditions to, not ideal conditions, but these are okay conditions in which to try a car that will be used as a daily driver more often than a 650S. So what do we have? Well, inside I've got a nice interior, actually really lovely, beautifully put together. So the door goes higher for a reason, make it easier to get in. The sill on this carbon monocell is 18mm lower, also to make it easier to get in and out. This is the sort of car, like a 911 Turbo, like an Audi R8, possibly even like an Aston DB9 or something, that you could use every day if you want to. That's the purpose. McLaren calls it a sports car, not a supercar. I would be inclined to call it a supercar. It does 0 to 60 in 3.2 and 0 to 124 in 9.5. I mean, that's pretty fast. But anyway, sports car it is. Okay, we'll go with that. So what's it like? Well, in these conditions, who knows? Who knows? It feels agile. The 7-speed twin clutch gearbox is good. The engine's responsive. Don't notice any sort of lag at the kind of speeds you can do on this circuit. It's so wet here, there is so much standing water. I am disinclined to try and take too many liberties with this car, to be honest. So we'll just have a little play around a couple of slow corners when nobody's looking with the ESC off. And then we'll go out on the road, see what it's like as a road car. Here is one of these second gear corners. Let's have a don't run into the tracking car. That's the key. Really nice, really nice. 570S, like 650S, like all the other modern McLarens, doesn't have a limited slip differential. It has torque vectoring by braking, so it'll brake an inside rear tyre to try and stop the inside one spinning up, and that allows some slip at the back. McLaren says it's lighter, it doesn't corrupt the steering like a limited slip diff can, it doesn't cause understeer like a limited slip diff can. Sometimes you think it would just be nice if it had a diff, you'd just get back on the power and away at the back would scoot. Conditions like this, look, you get back on the power, the rear is going to step out, no question. Whether it will do the same in the dry, McLaren says it probably will, but it's one of the things we'll have to see some other time. Ironically, might be better to find out in the UK than in Portugal. Who knew? We have picked maybe the only weekend in the last 3 months where it's just a complete washout. Okay, so let's head out onto the road. This car is actually slightly larger than a 650S, longer, a little bit higher as well. So it's not the narrowest of sports cars. 911 is probably the narrowest of sports cars. But because you can see the sort of wing tops and you can see the edges, it doesn't feel unwieldy. And on top of that, you know, the driving position is absolutely spot on, dead straight. You can use either foot for the brake pedal. The steering wheel just comes right out at your chest, goes as high or low as you want, and it's a superb driving environment. God, it's good, this car. It is really, it steers so nicely, steers so precisely, it's so oily and slick, and loads of feedback and feel. Just lovely. On the road is unbelievably good. This car rides around town still a little bit jiggly here and there, but as you up the speed, it is just extraordinary in normal mode. I mean, there are lots of family cars that do not ride as well as this. I am not kidding. You get in an executive car and it does not smother bumps as well as this does. It is phenomenal. In terms of the powertrain responses, I mean, if you take control of the gearbox yourself, which you probably want to most of the time, actually on the road it doesn't really matter which one you're in. What it does is it changes the digital display on the dash. It goes from a very conventional one with a big speedo to the sort of P1's F1 style rev counter where it goes across the top to the red line. And what's important, let's not forget, is that on a road going car, people will drive most of the time on the road, and people who drive McLaren's more than they will drive their Ferraris or Lamborghinis, for example. It's a very engaging car, an enjoyable car at sensible speeds. I'm doing 50 kilometers an hour, getting lots back through the steering. This car's got a sports exhaust and it makes an okay noise actually. You know, there was some criticism of early McLaren's that the noise wasn't really all that. They've tweaked it, they've tuned it, and what it's worth remembering is that McLaren cars, although they made the SLR and they made the F1, the modern version of McLaren cars is a pretty new car company. They brought out the MP412C in 2011 and it's only 2015, and their cars have been getting better and better, and they have moved with unbelievable pace. I mean, well done McLaren, because this now, it just feels the real deal. It feels like a proper, genuine, fabulous sports car. I think it's every bit as easy to live with as a 911, as an Audi R8. And those are the standards by which you've got to judge this car. And on this showing, I want more time in it, more time in the dry to find out what it really handles like. But as a car to enjoy on the road in any weather, it's just a special piece of kit. I like it very much. I can't wait to try it some more.